Hey there guys, and welcome back to the Travis and Damian podcast, episode 100. We're available on anchor.fm/Travis Damian podcast, along with Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and many more. Today, we're going to be talking about our initial impressions on Sonic Frontiers and community thoughts. Then we'll give our impressions on God of War Ragnarok. Afterwards, we dive into the general news, including Yuji Naka and Sonic Prime. Next, our thoughts on Andor episodes 10 and 11. Furthermore, our thoughts on Black Panther Wakanda Forever. Lastly, our thoughts on the Game Award nominees. So, it's obviously the 100th episode. Damian happened to be in town.
Yeah,
so
look at me.
We're doing it in person. So first, let's just give our condolences to Kevin Conroy, who unfortunately passed away this past week at the age of 66. I believe he was battling cancer, but yeah, obviously sucks. He is one of the main voices for Batman, I would say, in my opinion. I mean, I was introduced to him during Arkham Asylum. As a, I guess, younger person, I feel like a lot of people that are older than us would say that it was the Batman animated series, which is rightfully so. But, you know, his status within the Batman community should not be, I guess, underplayed, because he really is one of the main voices for Batman and really inspired a lot of other people that came into the role later on.
Yeah, it's like, I'm just going to move in a little closer. It's just kind of a shock that he passed away, like, so soon, I guess, because, you know, yeah, to a lot of people, he's a very iconic Batman at this point. And I think at least right now, his last role, I think was like Multiverses, because I think he voiced him in that game. So it's really sad to see him go, especially since, you know, I guess a lot of people are missing, like, you know, we got the Batman and stuff, but I feel like we haven't had like another good like Batman like game or anything, because I know Gotham Knights is kind of, I mean, he's not even in there to begin with. So yeah, it really does suck. I know my brother, you know, he's a big Batman fan, you know, he was really like, that sucks. So, yeah, you know, definitely his voice is very iconic, and it's sad to see him go so soon. Like, I didn't expect it. Like, you know, like, I would expect Mark Hamill to go first, because, you know, he's older and, you know, he's also the Joker and stuff. But yeah, it definitely sucks. Yeah.
Okay, so moving on from there, we're going to give our thoughts on the newest Sonic game, Sonic Frontiers. It is finally out. So Damian's a lot further than I am, because I've been busy with schoolwork, but I did finish the first island last night, and I can't say that the game is fun. Is the game good? I think that's a whole other discussion that we'll have later on, but Damian, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I basically feel the same way. Like, I think the game is really fun. You know, when I said before this game even came out, when I was looking at more of the preview footage and stuff, I knew I was going to probably feel the same way I felt, or how I felt about Pokemon Arceus, where the game is super jank. It looks, I mean, this game looks okay, but I'll talk about the other issues with it later. But, you know, it doesn't like perform the best. It doesn't look great, but the core gameplay is really fun. And I actually do think this is a good direction for the series to go in, which I didn't really expect myself to feel, because, you know, Pokemon going open world makes a lot of sense. You know, a lot of people are asking for that for a while now, but Sonic going to open world, or I guess open zone, which makes more sense. You know, I never really thought of that. I'm like, why would Sonic do that? Like, you know, usually when I think of Sonic, I think about tight, more linear levels and stuff. But going this open zone format feels really good. They basically feel like giant, like, sort of Mario Odyssey levels more than an open world. So I think that open zone terminology they're using does fit it pretty well. But yeah, that's just sort of like the broad impressions I have.
Yeah, I think just from obviously playing only the first world so far, I think the subspace levels are very good.
Yeah.
What's it called?
Cyberspace.
Yeah, the cyberspace levels are very good, just because it brings older fans back into that, I guess, mentality of like doing the levels, and they even bring back iconic scenery like Chemical Plant and even Sonic Adventure 2 Speed Highway. That was very surprising. I was like, what the fuck is that?
But that's Adventure 1, actually.
Oh, really? Yeah. Shit. God damn, bro. You calling me out.
Yeah, the Radical Highway is Shadow's level.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, I agree. I think the cyberspace levels are really cool. It's actually cool they pulled, you know, there was a big thing on Twitter when they show, that's just like that first level from Unleashed. They're so lazy. But apparently all the cyberspace levels are from level designs from the other games. And it's cool to see Adventure 2 levels in there, because I did do Radical Highway, and there was Skyrail as well. And it's really cool, and it kind of fit the sort of this is not really a boost game. I wouldn't really say that. Like, you know, the cyberspace levels do kind of play like boost stuff, but Sonic's movement definitely feels like kind of a mix of the adventure format and the boost gameplay. Yeah. And I thought it worked pretty well for these adventure levels. And they were definitely my favorite cyberspace levels. But yeah, I think they're a good inclusion, a good sort of break the pace of the open world stuff. And they kind of act like sort of like the Breath of the Wild shrines. You know, you do a shrine, do your puzzle, then you leave. It's kind of the same thing. So
yeah, and also it doesn't incentivize you to replay those levels, because if you finish it within a certain amount of time, you get the S rank, and then if you get all the red rings, you get a certain reward. So I do like that factor. And on top of that, the levels themselves are not that long. No. They're like 1 to 2 minutes long at most. So I really do like that. They really want you to breathe into this open zone sort of gameplay and really dive into that. Obviously, it's still, you know, a lot of things that need to be worked on, I would say. For example, you know, like the boss fights within the world. I was trying to fight Squid last night.
Right. Oh, yeah, that one. Yeah.
So annoying, man, because it's like you have to like jump on it at a certain like thing.
Yes.
And then like at a certain point, I did jump towards him, but I fell through him. Yeah. I was like, I hate this shit. This is so annoying. Yeah. And like stuff like that, you know, the game is buggy, I will say. It's not exactly the most polished Sonic game out there. It's not 06 by any means, I will say. But I do think that the game is fun. I did have a very enjoyable time with the first, what is it, island?
Island, yeah.
The first island so far. So I am looking forward to playing the rest of it, obviously. I think the Supersonic boss fight was kind of funny, just because it's like you just have to block and then you just do circle and triangle.
Yeah.
Because if you don't do that, you're gonna run out of rings.
It is kind of weird to call it a parry, but you could just hold the button.
Yes.
So it's not really a parry. It's kind of just like a block. But I think the Supersonic fight was really cool. The second one was even cooler. Like I definitely felt myself being like, yeah, this is pretty sick. So yeah, I definitely really like the big boss encounters. They're not really hard because like you can't really lose because you're so strong. Honestly, that's the thing with this game. It is actually pretty easy compared to some of the other Sonic games, especially the S rank stuff. Like I don't really have to try too hard. Like there was one level, like the second level is really hard to S rank, but after that, it's pretty easy. But yeah, and I guess going into more of the negative stuff, the biggest graphical issue is definitely the pop-in, as we both experienced. You know, you could be like just a few meters away, and it won't show up until you're right up to it. There's a pop, then it pops up in your face. And it could be really annoying to try to get all the memory tokens because you want to see where the sort of platforming challenge ends. So you keep running and, you know, things just keep popping up. And then, like, now this is where it starts and I could do it. So, yeah, the pop-in's definitely an issue. And I feel like there was ways it could have made it look better. Like, since the whole game is about, like, this digital stuff, I feel like it would have been hard to maybe digitize the rails coming in, so at least it looks thematically cool. Yeah. But no, it just kind of pops in and it looks pretty bad. But but yeah, that's basically it with the graphics. I don't know if you have any other issues like with the graphics wise. Like, I think the game looks okay.
Yeah, I think it looks fine. My thing is that with the cutscenes, right? Because I watch a lot of, I guess, like Sonic fan made just like spoofs of like animations with like the 3D models. The cutscenes look like that.
Yeah, they're very static. The cutscenes, like the characters kind of just stand there and they talk. And it's all like in-game models and stuff. And it really does feel like a Source filmmaker thing. Yeah. So, but I actually do like, I guess we're going to like the writing, I guess. I kind of do like the characters a lot. Like I think, you know, Ian Flynn did a good job writing the character. I know he wasn't the sole writer, which a lot of people get mistaken for every time to talk about this game. Like he was mostly responsible just for the character dialogue and stuff. But he does a great job, you know, making all the characters feel like characters now. Like, you know, like especially with Knuckles, when you get up to Knuckles, and Amy is really good. Like she's not just like, you know, damsel in distress, or she's like all into Sonic all the time. Like that's her only personality. Like I think they're pretty good with that. And I like that they reference a lot of old Sonic games. Like I'm surprised by how much they reference to older Sonic. Even like the main plot of this game like has a lot to do with Adventure 1, and I'm like that's really cool.
Yeah. There was that first island. It was actually like the Chaos people. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's what the Cocos or
yeah.
The Koroks?
So like the the Koroks.
Yeah, the Koroks.
The Koroks. No, the Coco are. It looks like they're like were a part of like the ancient race, which you learn later are like Chaos from Adventure 1. So that's really cool. I don't know what they're going to do with that because, you know, I'm not too much further. You know, I did Island 2, but I'm up to Island 3. So I think that's really cool how they're sort of meshing together the adventure stuff with like the more modern age stuff. That's really cool, I think.
Yeah, I think just getting into, I guess, like the game's story just based off of the first island. Obviously, you know, it's like, oh, Sonic lost Amy and Tails, so that's what his objective is right now.
Yeah.
And getting the Chaos Emeralds will help him defeat these ancient monsters and stuff. So that seems all right. I think that, I guess, getting into the gameplay, when it comes to like collecting like the hearts to like talk to Amy and stuff, because I was collecting so much, I just like hit cutscene after cutscene before I did the supersonic fight.
Yeah.
And I was like, maybe they should have made them like a little harder, maybe a little more challenging. I don't know.
I felt like the little mini games you play, because you do that with Knuckles as well, in the second island. I feel like those could just been like levels you did, because the mini games are like whatever, like, you know, oh, gather the cocoa, like pin the round them up and stuff. I forgot what else you do with Amy, but yeah, it definitely feels
Grass cutting.
Oh yeah, the grass cutting. Yeah, it's very weird. Like the main actual missions are just like these little mini games, and I feel like it would have been better to just maybe do like a level or something, because yeah, it definitely felt kind of like padding a bit. So
I mean, I tried to do like another, I guess, like cyberspace level, and then I stumbled across the big fishing mini game.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, okay, I guess I don't know what this is about, but I guess I'm doing this.
It like breaks the game. So actually, that's another problem I have with this game. I think the item economy, so like, you know, the memory tokens, all the other collectibles you can get, I think they give you it like too much. Like I think you get too many of them, because I had like so many memory tokens at the end where I'm like, what was even the point? Like, does this feel, I don't feel good. It kind of felt like Mario Odyssey with the moons, but it just doesn't feel good to collect them anymore, because I had like 400 by the time I finished Knuckles level, because I was just gathering the memory tokens, because why not? And Big's fishing minigame totally wrecks it, because you could just buy memory tokens, you could buy the Cocos, you could buy the power up and defense fruit. Like, you don't even need to play the game.
Yeah.
So I kind of understand they wanted people to have options, but I feel like at a certain point it feels like it makes the collectibles feel kind of worthless. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, you only need one purple coin to get into the minigame, and then you could stay there for as long as you want.
Yeah, and you could get purple coins really easily with the that weird Starfall event thing. I don't know if you've seen that does that like a bunch of meteorites fall down and stuff. Yeah, you get like a bunch of purple coins from that too. So yeah.
My other gripe with the gameplay is that certain like puzzles, if you will, can only be done at night.
Oh yeah, that's really dumb. I don't like that, especially because there's no way to advance time. Like in Breath of the Wild, you could sleep at a campfire and then it's night. This game, you just gotta wait.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Because I remember the first one I was trying to do, I was like, it says night or like the moon or whatever, and I was like, this is bullshit. Like, this is so annoying. So other things with the gameplay, I guess, is that what are the hearts called?
Those are memory tokens.
Okay, yeah, those shits are too easy to get.
Yeah, they kind of just put them everywhere. So it's like, you don't have to do everything. Not even for 100%. Like 100% is just getting all the reveal the map markers. That's about it. But yeah, I do agree they're too easy to get. I think it should have been like maybe like 20 or 30 of them in each map, but make them like way harder to get. You know, that's kind of what I like, because, you know, the Mario Odyssey problem was what I call it. Just like, it's just too easy to get them, and then I don't feel good about getting them. So
yeah, and like, you know, Kobe asked me last night if I was gonna 100% the game, and I'm like, I don't know yet, because, you know, if the collectibles are this easy to get, that's another reason why I didn't 100% Mario Odyssey. Right. Because it was like, what am I getting these moons for? What's the real point of me 100%ing the game if I'm not having fun? You know?
But that's what I'm saying. Like, apparently 100% you don't need to get all the memory tokens, because they're like farmable. Like, you could just get them anywhere. So like, all you have to do to 100% a map is get all the question mark things, like the reveal the map thing, and that's it. Because the completionist, I think he got all the memory tokens, you don't get anything. It's just like, okay, good job. It doesn't even tell you that. So yeah.
Wow, that is crazy. But I mean, like, I guess the open zone aspect of just like moving around as Sonic, I thought that was a lot of fun.
Yes, yeah.
That is probably like the best part of the gameplay. The way Sonic feels and moves is completely fine. Obviously, they're remapping the buttons again, like they do with every single new Sonic Team Sonic game. So that'll definitely get some getting used to. I'm still like messing up. I think when I want a homing attack, I sometimes press double A.
I keep messing up homing attack too.
or like when I dash, I forget that I have to hit the trigger. Yeah. Because the trigger's also the boost.
Honestly, the triggers actually, I don't mind it as boost as much. Like, I thought square was always or whatever, X. Always thought that was a weird button to press for boost. The right trigger actually does feel pretty good for boosting. But yeah, the homing attack, it went back to the unleash style of it, and I don't like it.
Yeah, so it definitely does take some getting used to, but I think overall, like, the game is fun, as like Sonic fans ourselves. Yeah. But I think people criticizing the game for it being bad is definitely 100% understandable, because going into this as like a non-Sonic fan and And as a person who doesn't play a lot of Sonic games and doesn't really know about like, I guess like the nuances and like the history of like boost formula and all that other shit, you know, getting into Sonic Frontiers where it's like, it's an open world Sonic game and you play it and it's like, this is a really bad open world game.
It is. I mean, it is. Like, same thing with Arceus. It was a pretty bland open world type thing too, but for the series it's in, it's pretty good, and I think that's good enough for now. I would like to see a lot of improvements if they do continue with this format, which apparently they are. They're committed to this open zone format of Sonic, and I think there's a lot more they could do, but as a first attempt, I think it's pretty good so far.
Yeah, I think that, you know, I guess it was controversial when one of the directors or executive producers or whatever said that like this was like
a global playtest.
Yeah, like a global playtest is what people called it, and I'm like, well, you know, they're really heading into brand new territory. They didn't give you like an alpha or beta. Like they could have given you the build that we saw with IGN firsthand, but they actually polished the game. They made it look better, and I'm sure that there were a lot of other things that the game had problems with. You know, obviously the pop-in was something that they couldn't fix before release, but I'm sure that if they do decide to continue with this formula, which I think that they should, it will get better. It's just a matter of time and community feedback and deciding on which choices they want to make from what people have been criticizing about.
Yeah. But yeah, that's basically all I have to say with the game so far. Again, I'm in the worst island, apparently. Island 3 apparently sucks, so not really looking forward to that. But yeah, I'm hoping to finish the game, hopefully by next podcast, maybe.
Yeah.
So
We'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens there.
All right. So next thing we're going to talk about real quick is God of War Ragnarok. This is probably the most hyped, most anticipated game of 2022, and it's finally here. And it has not disappointed a lot of people. I mean, it's got flying reviews, 10 out of 10s left and right. I've only played like 3 hours of it so far. And honestly, all I could really say is that it's more of God of War 2018. So if you like that game and you want to pick up right back where it left off, this is it. Like, there's no, I guess, like disappointment with it so far for me personally, and I don't really have any problems or gripes with it. You know, it's pretty much God of War 2018.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it is. So, and you know, I know some people get like disappointed with that. I mean, I think I already said my stance on sequels like this. Like, I'm totally okay with that. You know, I don't mind when sequels are basically the same with, you know, continuing the story, maybe with some improvements. Though with this game, I can't notice as much as with like Horizon. Horizon was definitely able to tell more of the improvements than God of War, but I think the game was already really solid, so I didn't really need that much more. But yeah, basically the game is very good. Like you said, it basically picks up right where 2018 left off, so I really don't think you should jump into this one without playing 2018.
There is a recap in the beginning.
There is a recap, but I still think you should play the first game. Since that game has a lot of character moments and stuff, and I feel like a lot of that stuff would be lost without really experiencing the first game. And you should anyway, because the game is great. But yeah, Ragnarok is basically more of the same, but it's just better, right? Like, it does everything a sequel should. You know, there's more things to do. The game looks slightly prettier. Again, not a huge graphical like overhaul or whatever, because the game was still made for PS4 in mind, but it still does look better. It runs really good. You know, there's a bunch of accessibility options. I do think the combat feels faster. I don't know if that's just like copium or whatever, but the combat definitely feels a bit faster now. And yeah, it is basically more God of War, and I'm really enjoying the story. I'm liking where it goes. And I won't really say this, but it does something I didn't think this game would do, because no one in the reviews talked about a certain thing that happens that's really important for the game, being very vague, but it's really cool, and I really didn't expect it to happen. It really changes what I thought the game was going to be, so that's really cool. I could see some people, I know there's one segment where people were kind of complaining about that thing, because you don't really do much, but I thought it was great, so... And I guess that kind of goes in with people kind of talking about like, oh, Sony games are movie games and stuff. And like, whatever. Yeah.
I mean, I feel like when it comes to Sony first party games, people should expect a certain, not copy and paste shot, but a certain level of just like cinematic and storytelling along with the gameplay. Because I feel like once they hit that with The Last of Us, they were like, we need to make every game like that. Yeah. So they've been sort of going to every single first party studio and being like, what kind of game do you want to make? All right, just make it something similar to that. You know, Sucker Punch did that with Ghost of Tsushima. Horizon is a franchise that is just like that. And obviously we have Naughty Dog with The Last of Us in this game.
Yeah. And yeah, like, I get it. Like, maybe they feel too similar, but I think they're still really good at what they do. Like, you know, I think all these first-party Sony games are, you know, still very top-notch, very solid. There's one complaint I do agree with. I do think they give the hint of puzzles a little too often. I know that's a big thing going around. Like, you would walk around for maybe 2 seconds, and then they're like, hey, did you try this? I'm like, okay, well, let me, like, assess the situation before you tell me what I'm supposed to do. That's the only problem I would agree with. But I think everything else is very top notch. Like, I'm really enjoying the game so far. The story's been very engaging. I do think there's a lot of, like, you know, even though people complain about too many cutscenes and stuff, I do think the game has a lot of gameplay compared to other Sony first party games anyway. Because, you know, yeah, there's a lot of different things you could do, and you could backtrack and all this stuff. There's a lot of different side quests and stuff. So yeah, definitely is meeting my expectations so far, and I'm really excited to see the rest of the story. So.
Yeah, 100% by next episode, we are not finishing this game.
No, I'm not.
No, this game is so long. This game is so long.
I have like 20 hours.
Yeah, and people are still not done, which is crazy.
It's really long. So, I mean, that's if you're doing everything. But even then, I think the game is still like 25 hours if you're rushing through literally everything. So,
which, why would you ever do that?
Don't do that.
Why would you ever do that? You're going to get your $70 worth if
that's
you
what I'm saying. Like, I paid $70 for this game, so I'm going to get $70 worth of entertainment. So... Alrighty, so I guess I could talk about the streaming, the PS5 streaming, because all the Ratchet Clank every mainline Ratchet Clank game is now on PS Premium. And, you know, earlier in the year I played Full Frontal Assault just because that was the last Ratchet game in my platform, and I did it. And I said, oh yeah, the PlayStation streaming streams well enough for what it is. You know, obviously I would still like them to be downloadable. But now I'm playing Ratchet Clank 1, a game I'm very familiar with. You know, I played it a billion times. I actually bought an Ethernet for my PlayStation now. You know, just put on the wall, put it in there, just to see if it improves it. And it kind of feels the same. I still don't notice any input delay. So that feels fine. Again, I'm very confident in this because I know this game like the back of my hand. And, you know, yeah, I think Ratchet feels fine to control. Everything feels good. My only problem is there's 2 issues with streaming. One, the image quality is always going to be a little worse. Like, you know, you could tell just some, like, shenanigans going on. Like, it looks like you're watching a stream, basically. Like, a good quality stream, but it still doesn't look as crisp as it would if it was downloadable. And the game, has stutters. Like, not, like, big enough to be an issue. It's, like, maybe once every, like, 30 minutes, you might get, like, and then it goes back to normal. So that's kind of annoying, but it's not enough to be, like, detrimental. But, again, I have a pretty good internet. I have an Ethernet on my PS5 now, so the situation would vary a lot if you have a bad internet connection or anything. And I do agree that the game should still be downloadable. But for what it is, I'm happy I can at least play these games now. You know, every mainline Ratchet Clank game is there. I'm surprised Tools of Destruction wasn't there to begin with, but it is now. And that's great, you know, I'm very tempted to go through all the games again for like the 50th time, but I won't. I'm probably just going to play through Ratchet Clank 1 because I have too many other games and stuff to do anyways. So, you know, I got Pokemon after this too. Like, it's a lot. But, yeah, I could say if you have good internet and you want to just play these old games again, go ahead. I think it's good for what it is. Again, I do agree that it should be downloadable, but for what it is, it's okay. So
we'll see how fast Damian changes that
plan
of his.
Honestly, like, if I play, I should probably play Going Commando, like a game that's more action oriented, to see how well it holds up, but I guess we'll see when we get up to that.
All right, so now we're going to get into the general news of things. So first piece of news is Yuji Naka arrested for insider trading.
Yep.
So Damian informed me about this one this morning.
Yep.
And I was like, what the hell are you talking about? So apparently, obviously he had insider info while working with Square Enix that Dragon Quest Tact, a mobile game with Square Enix, was going to come out. So he bought shares of the company that was doing it, and that is illegal in Japan, and in my opinion should be illegal everywhere. But anyways, so yeah, he got arrested for it along with 2 other Square Enix employees, and yeah, that is very funny, especially because a few months ago people were backing him up about the fact that Square Enix, I guess, kind of rushed Ballad Wonderland. So it was like, oh, okay, like maybe he's not that much of a bad guy, but hey, look, here he is back in the news for some bad stuff he did. So yeah, I think that is just ironic and also very funny.
Yeah, so I mean, Yuji Naka has been a very like controversial figure for a while. You know, he definitely did Sonic dirty. You know, he made him, yes, but he also did like a lot of things, especially after they transitioned to 3D. I know when Sonic Extreme or whatever that was in development, and then he like said like, no, you can't like use certain things about Sonic, and then it like ruined everything. I know that was a whole thing. He's definitely like kind of an ass. You know, he's definitely was like harassing employees and stuff during the early like 2000s and 90s and stuff, you know. So, and then when he went to Square Enix to make Balan Wonderworld, he was like, Square definitely didn't do right by that game. You know, they didn't advertise it. They didn't really give enough money or time for the game. But the game obviously still isn't very good. Like, I don't know how good it was going to be even with all that time and money, because the direction of the game with like a one button platformer just wasn't working out because everything just kind of felt bad. But yeah, now with this news, it kind of just ends a whole chapter here in his life and just life in general. Because, you know, Japan has like a 99% conviction rate, so I highly doubt he's going to get away with this.
Oh, God.
So yeah, we probably won't see anything with Yuji Naka for a very long time, especially because, you know, how Japan handles this sort of thing. But it's definitely a very interesting history with this man, and I don't want IGN Premium, please. But yes, it is a very interesting sort of history of him, and I can't wait to see like a YouTube video in like the future being like,
I was definitely just gonna say
the
that.
rise and fall of Yuji Naka. So because we're definitely gonna see that in the future. But yeah, this was definitely news that I'm like, whoa, that's crazy. So yeah,
some video essayist is gonna make a video.
Yeah, someone's gonna have a good time with that.
All right. So you got the next one?
Yeah, so Silk Spider Society, live action series, heading to Amazon Prime Video. Angela Kong, former Walking Dead showrunner, to lead this project. I hope those were the good seasons. We also have Spyverse writers and producers Phil Lord and Chris Miller would be executive producers. So this sounds pretty cool. I didn't even heard about this till like right now. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, so Silk Spider, from my understanding, because I don't know much about the character either, is that she is a Korean American version of Spider-Man.
Okay,
pretty much got bit by the same spider that bit Peter Parker. Cindy Moon is Silk Spider. So, and the showrunner, Angela Kang, she's also Asian. So yeah, you know, representation, get that shit in there. If you're gonna make a show about Asian people, get people behind the scenes that are also Asian, so they know how it is to be Asian, especially when you're writing stories, whether that be in America or elsewhere. But yeah, this seems pretty exciting, especially because they have Spider-Verse, Phil Lord and Chris Miller on board as executive producers. So I guess they get like sort of like the last say of like what's good and what's not. So yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to this. This is something that obviously came out of nowhere, and the fact that it's coming to Amazon Prime Video will seem a little confusing to a lot of people because it's like, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah.
So I guess that this is part of Sony, Amazon, something like that. I'm not exactly sure what the deal is going on here, but it looks like that this is something that is coming up for another spin-off based Spider-Man show. And I'm all down for it. It seems like that the people behind it know and are excited in terms of like what they're doing with this. So
yeah, I think Amazon Prime Video actually has a lot of good superhero stuff now. Yeah. I haven't watched them yet. The Boys and the Invincibles are like, you know, pretty big like superhero shows now, and now having sort of a Spider-Man thing as well. That's really cool. So yeah, definitely looking forward to this. You know, I think Spider-Man has had a lot of good stuff lately. You know, we both had to suffer through those early 2010s when it was like basically nothing but canceled projects and stuff. So it feels good to get all this good stuff now. And yeah, it's always cool to learn about other Spider people as well. You know, ever since Spider-Verse, I think a lot of people are interested to see all the other Spider men and women and all that stuff. So
more Spider people
is always a good thing in my book. So yeah, definitely looking forward to that as big Spider-Man fans ourselves. So
all right, so next bit of news is more Spider-Man stuff. New Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse cast members have been announced. Daniel Kaluuya as Spider-Punk and Issa Rae as Spider-Woman. So yeah, I only learned this within the past year, but Spider-Punk is actually black. I did not know that until I read one of the comics that dealt with the Spider-Verse stuff. But anyways, yeah, Daniel Kaluuya, he is a fantastic actor. If you're not seeing him in Get Out, which I believe was his big debut role, a lot of people that are familiar with MCU have probably seen him in the first Black Panther.
Yep.
And he was also great within the newest Jordan Peele movie. I already forgot what the name of it. Yep, nope. So yeah, glad to see him. Issa Rae, not exactly too familiar with her work, but more representation is always nice. And previously, Oscar Isaac will be returning as Spider-Man 2099. So yeah, seems like that the cast is still as stacked as ever. I mean, with one of probably the best animated films of the past 5 years, you know, getting these people on hopefully isn't that hard. You know, you kind of have a sort of resume to fall back to fall back on. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to this movie like a lot. Like you said, the first Spider-Verse was definitely like one of my favorite animated movies, one of my favorite Spider-Man movies in general. Like I really love that movie. Mm-hmm. So I'm really hoping this one still has that same sort of energy the first one did. I know it's supposed to be split between 2 parts, so hopefully that doesn't hurt the movie and only enhances it. At least I'm hoping so. But yeah, this is a great cast. I'm very excited to see what it could bring for these, Spider people. I thought Nicolas Cage as noir Spider-Man was really cool. Like I didn't expect that. He was really funny in that. So I'm hoping everyone else here has the same sort of entertainment as that. So yeah, definitely looking forward to Across the Spider-Verse. Alrighty, so now this is a random one. The first episode of Andor will be shown on ABC, FX, Freeform. I don't know what that is, and Hulu next week.
Yeah, Freeform is just another streaming service.
There's too many.
Yeah, there is too many.
There's too many that I don't even know anymore. So I think this is pretty cool. Is it just the first 2 episodes?
Yeah, so I think a lot of people are theorizing that the reason why they're doing this is because not a lot of people are watching Andor, unfortunately. Yeah. If you guys don't know, we talk about it every single episode about the newest episodes of Andor because it is the newest Disney Plus show that is airing right now, and it's really good. It's just unfortunate that it seems like that not too many people are really watching it because it is about a lesser known Star Wars character that isn't part of the Skywalker sort of story. But if you watch Rogue One and you kind of liked it, even if you didn't like it, I feel like that a lot of people would like this show. If you want to watch it on those platforms, you can. Obviously, it being on ABC, straight up live television is great. But if you have Disney Plus and you haven't given Andor a shot, you should definitely try to watch it.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I think it's just because it is a lesser known character, but I feel like that probably helped the writing process more because I feel like not a lot of people were really too passionate about the character, except the people that wanted to make the show, unlike, Boba Fett or Obi-Wan, where there's probably like a lot of people that wants to get their hands on that. So the show just feels a lot more focused in general. And, since the tone is like grittier and stuff, I think it really helps it a lot. There's a lot of times I forget it's about Star Wars just because of how different it feels. So I think this is great. Obviously, it sucks that not as many people are watching it because it is probably my second favorite Star Wars show behind Mandalorian. I still really like Mandalorian a lot. But yeah, hopefully more people can actually see that the show is really good. They could give it a chance because I know Obi-Wan was, maybe a little disappointing for a lot of people, including me a little bit. But and Boba Fett also wasn't very good as well. So hopefully people can watch this and be like, oh yeah, this is pretty good. And then, obviously that's what Disney wants. They want you to subscribe to Disney Plus after that. So yeah, hopefully this goes well for the show because I would like more shows of this tone for Star Wars.
Yeah, I mean, Andor is definitely really, really good. It's just unfortunate that people are not watching it.
Yeah.
Moving on from there, we got is the Sonic Prime official trailer. I think that this gives people a much better idea of what the show is about. I think I said that last time, but really, like this new trailer really does give you like a pretty good idea of what the show is. Sort of putting Sonic in an alternate dimension where there's multiple Eggmans and Eggman's 1 kind of thing. So yeah, and the squash and stretch stuff with the animation does look a lot of fun and really, really good. I think that this is going to be a very fun Sonic show, not just for kids, but obviously for Sonic fans, because it seems like that they always want to hit that nice sweet spot in the middle with both fans of Sonic and also children to, get them into the character and, make Sonic the long-lasting media icon that he is. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I haven't watched a Sonic show since Sonic X, and that's kind of how I got into the character. So I'm kind of excited to see on how this one plays out.
Yeah, I feel the same way. It looks like riff apart. I don't always say that, but it really does look like it. But yeah, again, I think it's cool that the show has like a plot and it's something they're gonna do. So I think as like older fans, we could sort of like follow it and see like what kind of shenanigans it's gonna get up to. Obviously, not gonna be too harsh if there's like a fart joke or whatever. I mean, it's still gonna be like a kid's thing, but because it's Sonic. But I really like the Sonic movies. I thought they were both really fun times, and if this could capture that same energy, then I'm okay with that. I definitely think the voice cast is pretty good. They're not the voices we're used to, but at this point, I think Sonic changes voices a lot. So I'm kind of just used to it. It's weird not hearing Eggman as what's his face, Mike Pollock, right?
Yeah, Mike Pollock.
Yeah, because I'm so used to him hearing as Eggman always. So but I think the new dude does a good job. All these actors do pretty good as their respected characters and stuff. So yeah, definitely looking forward to see what this show is gonna be about and how it happens, because apparently, you know, Shadow's supposed to be in it. You know, I we knew that from last time, but you know, it looks like it's gonna be some weird story important thing. So yeah, definitely looking forward to that. Again, like you said, it was weird seeing Shadow in like Green Hill or whatever. It's a very cursed image.
Yes.
But yeah, it looks really cool. And you know, this is just Sonic's just comeback year, or I don't know when the Sonic movie 2 came out. I think that was last
years,
year.
if you will.
So the last few years have been pretty kind to Sonic. So that's great to see. You know, as Sonic fans, you know, it's been pretty rough over the last like 10 years or something since Generations. So yeah.
Yeah, I feel like after Generations, it was
bad times. Yeah,
a bit rough, you know, depending on where you looked. But moving on from there, we're going to talk about some Star Wars stuff. Before we get into Andor, episodes 10 and 11, we're going to talk about the Grogu and Dust Bunnies little short that they did in collaboration with Studio Ghibli. So yeah, I mean, it's just a cute little short film. If you have the time to watch it on Disney Plus, you probably should. It's only like 2 minutes, something like that. Like Damian literally watched it before we started.
Yeah, it's really short, but it's really cute. You know, I think those I don't even know what it does. I think it was from Spirited Away or something. They did look like from Spirited Away. Yeah, it was just really cute. The animation was very fluid. You know, Grogu was very cute, as he usually is. But I felt like he was really animated really well here. You know, it's just what Ghibli does well, right? Yeah. I haven't watched a Ghibli movie in a while, actually. I think the last ones I watched was like Ponyo or something. That was like 2012. So, but you know, I love Spirited Away. You know, Spirited Away is one of my favorite anime movies, because that's nostalgia, but I really love that movie. So whenever I see like the whole Ghibli style, I'm like, oh, yeah, that's really cute. So cool. You know, I can't wait for Visions 2 as well. I think they're doing a Vision season 2.
Yeah, I believe so.
I'm definitely looking forward to that. Hopefully Ghibli does like a longer form Star Wars thing. That'd be really cool. Yeah. But yeah, definitely liked it. It was really cute.
I think that this might have been like a test for them to see how fans would have reacted to it. Obviously, Studio Ghibli is very well known for their hand-drawn stuff, and I feel like if they did like just a series of just like Grogu shorts of him just doing dumbass shit, people would eat it up, including us. So, yeah, you know, if we get more stuff like this or something completely different, I'm all down with it. But yeah, so far so good. Now let's talk about Andor. Spoilers, obviously, episodes 10 and 11. 10, it was obviously the big breaking point episode, as you say, Damian.
It always is.
It's always like 3 or 4 episodes, I think it is. Yeah. Was it 3?
But it was like 3. The first 2 were like 3 episodes, and then they kind of did like a 2-episode little thingy, and now it was back to a 3-episode arc. They like to do that. They like to do the 3 episodes, and then the last one sort of ends that arc, I guess, with a big bang. You know, obviously the first 3 ended with them leaving the planet. Second one ended with them with the whole mission, the Vault mission. And then this one is the big prison break. And I think all these episodes have been very good. Like, I think all the setup has been really worth it. You know, I never feel like it was dragging on or anything, because I think the payoff was good enough for it. And yeah, this episode was no different. Like, I felt like, yeah, get out of that prison. Yeah. So yeah, it was really good. I think everything was like just done super well. You know, like you really felt for these different prisoners, especially I forget his name, but the other guy, he's like, I can't swim at the end. I'm like, that sucks.
Oh yeah, Andy Serkis's character.
Yeah, I'm like, I can't swim, and I'm like, what the hell? And then like that's it. We just don't see him after that. So you know, I think that really kind of shows the mayhem of like a big riot like that. Anyway, like you kind of just every man for himself at that point. So yeah, definitely a great episode.
Yeah, I think that, you know, them building it up and then just, you know, having that whole prison break, you know, seeing Andy Serkis's character finally being like, yeah, we're not getting the fuck out of here. Yeah. So, you know, let's do something ourselves, and them realizing that there's not enough guards for them to handle. And yeah, it was just a really good, really fun episode. And I think that the other, I guess, like side story with that guy that wanted to get out of like, I guess like the rebellion. Yeah. And then he was like, nah, you can't. And then he asked him, I guess like the wrong question, like, what have you sacrificed? And he said literally everything. Yeah, everything. I was like, you asked the guy the wrong question. Like he definitely popped off on him, and I was like, yeah. Mm-hmm, yep. Go off.
Deserved, yeah. Yeah, I think all the other subplots are, you know, still just as good as they are as, you know, the main plot, which was the prison break stuff, you know, definitely setting up for more stuff happening in the next episode and stuff. So, yeah, you know, I think this show just does all of that really well. You know, it's hard for a show to really juggle so many plot lines like this one does. Like, there's so many of them. But I think it does it pretty well. You know, obviously there's times where you're like, oh, I mean, it's kind of like Stranger Things. You know, Stranger Things does the same thing where it bounces back and forth a lot. This show does it as well. And I think they both do it good. Obviously this plot lines might be more interested at the moment. It's like, God damn, they're about to do it. And then they jump away. I feel the same way in Stranger Things like this show. But I still, when it does jump, I'm still just as interested as, the main plot. So, yeah.
Yeah, and episode 11, which you actually did just watch.
Yeah, I just watched it.
What did you think of it?
I really liked it. I forgot that she just died. Like, the mom. Yeah. So, and seeing the robot really sad. It was sad. It was like a little puppy.
Sad droid.
So, and they're setting up a lot of things, to show how Andor left the actual planet and stuff. And, sort of bonding with this one guy that he escaped with. He was in his workforce thingy. And just seeing him escape through all of that, he worked so hard to get out of this stuff. He calls in like the space payphone and just like, oh, your mom is dead. And it's like, oh shit. So, and I think his mom in one of the previous episodes said like, I'm probably gonna like die or something. Like, she doesn't want to go out just being like, hiding or whatever. Like she wants to go out being more with the rebellion and stuff. And, I think it's interesting too with, all of Andor's actions. Like, even if he doesn't really care about the rebellion, he's really sparking all the flames for it. Like, the whole, like, mission in Aldani or whatever it was called.
Aldani, yeah.
Yeah, obviously him, escaping from the planet in the first place, the prison break, like, all this are just, big things to show that the Empire isn't as strong as everyone thought they were and that they could fight back, even though he really doesn't care. Like, he cares, but, he doesn't, like, truly believes in it. Like, he still thinks the Empire is stronger than they ever will be, but, him making these rebellious acts is like a cool sort of thing because like he doesn't really like think so, but everyone else sees it as like this big thing. So it's really cool to see how that sort of plays together. So
yeah, I think that this was another, great setup episode of them just like trying to move the plot along because I think the season's going to end soon. So once we get into, I guess, leading up to season 2, whenever that happens, it's going to be pretty cool, pretty awesome. Hopefully that, they're able to keep it up. Apparently the Andor, I guess, like story that they wanted to tell was going to be like 5 seasons long.
Oh
I guess that they were I guess they're now condensing it down to 2 seasons, which is understandable, but I'm wondering what they could have done with 5 seasons, kind of thing.
Right.
But with this episode in particular, it's just them sort of showing what happened after he escaped prison and sort of just setting that stuff up. I think a lot of the side stuff is more interesting this time around.
Yeah.
But that's just how it is every now and then.
Yeah, like what's his face? I always forget everyone's names. The main guy, the guy with the jacket and like the main leader dude. What's his name? The guy who was leaving the tractor beam.
Leaving the tractor beam?
Yeah,
Fuck.
with his cool ship that like he like blew up the tractor beam and stuff.
Oh, what? Yeah.
Yeah, he's cool.
Yeah, he is cool.
Yeah, his plot lines are cool when he was talking to the other sort of like resistance person.
Like, he was like tricking them and shit.
Yeah. But I think his character is really good, and I think that still shows with all that. And same thing with all the like I guess political tradings of money and stuff because since the rebellion is getting way more like on fire, like the Empire is going to be more on top of them, so they can't really transfer funds as easily anymore and stuff. So I think that's really cool how they play into that as well. But yeah, also that was another point I wanted to make. I think it's really cool that this show kind of showed also like this thing, like with people that are in prison, you come out, and you think you're all good, and then like so many things change in life, like his mom dying. I know that's a thing that happens to a lot of people that are in prison for a while. I think that was sort of a cool thing they play into this show as well. Sort of get like that real thing of people that leave prison, even though not everything is good when you do it. Also, like the Empire having the prison be like just like this thing we just work forever and you don't actually leave and stuff. I think that was really cool how they did that as well. So
and also just like a message of just like remembering, I guess, your family and like your roots and not staying away from home too long.
Yeah.
Because some people do that, whether it's career choice or elsewise, they're away from home a lot.
Yeah.
And then they don't remember, like, oh, my family's back home. They probably miss me. You miss them, hopefully. And then, you should probably spend some quality time with them before it's too late.
Yeah, or at least give them a call or something.
Such is life.
Yeah.
But yeah, so far so good with Andor. And then next we're going to talk about Wakanda Forever.
Yes.
We're also going to do spoilers for this one. So yeah, this was the highly anticipated Black Panther 2. Unfortunately, after Chadwick Boseman passed away, they had to redo everything and sort of build the movie once again from the ground up and tell a whole new story instead of just canceling the movie. So yeah, props to Ryan Coogler for honestly pulling it off. I think that a lot of directors and a lot of creatives within this position would have just made the easy choice of just canceling it and just, moving on. But really, they were able to tell a story that made sense within the MCU, but also tell a story that honored Chadwick Boseman as Black Panther and sort of continue that story of T'Challa and, just made a fantastic movie, honestly.
Yeah, I agree. I know No Way Home was also part of Phase 4, right?
Yes.
But I still think, I'm a big Spider-Man fan, but I still think this movie is probably the strongest Phase 4 movie. I know a lot of people haven't been too into the Marvel movies lately. I mean, I like Doctor Strange. Thor, I could see why people didn't like. I kind of liked it, but I know a lot of people really didn't like it. This movie, I think, really nailed what it wants to go for, especially the tone of the movie. I'm really happy the movie was way more serious. Obviously there was some Marvel moments, there was some jokey parts.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it was handled really well. Like, it didn't feel too tone deaf. Everything was meant to be a lot more serious. There's definitely a lot of sniffles in the theater when I watched it. So I think they really did pay respect to Chadwick Boseman because, it's very, you could do a movie like this and it might feel like exploitative to like his death or whatever. But I think they did pay enough respects where it didn't feel like that. It definitely felt more like a celebration of his work and stuff. So yeah, I think they did all that stuff really well.
Yeah, and like if you look up like articles and interviews, like I think before they even started filming, they visited where Chadwick Boseman rested. Mm-hmm. So, obviously they did everything to sort of, show that they weren't just, doing this movie for money or whatever the case is. They really wanted to make this movie for him in honor of Chadwick Boseman. And, the movie itself, I think that the way that they, sort of write him out, if you will, I think that it all makes sense, thematically. And I think that the story that they were able to tell, sort of the aftermath of Wakanda once they lost their Black Panther and sort of bringing in these new people with Namor, everything really felt right and made sense. And honestly, like when I was in the theater, I didn't feel the whole 3-hour mark. Like, yeah. The movie's like 2 hours and 45 minutes.
Yeah, it's
like
long.
That.
I didn't really feel it as well.
Yeah.
Like I think I was just like really engaged with everything. I think, the themes of the movie and the tone really, I don't know, it just really sucked me in, I guess. And like you said, I really like how his death in the end kind of brought the whole Wakanda together stronger, which is really cool to see. Obviously they were sort of breaking apart at the seams and stuff, especially from the, from the Atlantis people and stuff. I forgot what the name of their civilization was called, but I think it was really cool to see how, just like in real life, like maybe when someone dies, everyone might feel really lost and stuff, but at the end you get stronger together. So I thought I did that theming really well. So
yeah, in the MCU it is called the Underwater Talokan.
All right,
something like that.
Yeah, it's like a Mayan or Aztec, maybe? I forget. It's one of those two.
Fuck, we're dumb as hell.
I do think I actually really did like the villain as well. I think he had a lot of good motivations for doing what he did. Obviously it's it's not right to like kill everyone, obviously, but I really like his civilization and sort of him explaining his backstory and how it obviously reflects to everyone else in Wakanda, especially Shuri and stuff. I think that stuff was handled really well, and I'm happy he didn't die either. I think the MCU has a big problem with like killing good villains a lot of the time, mostly when you could sort of bring them back and stuff. Like same thing with Killmonger. Like Killmonger is great, so I'm happy he got to have like one little scene here. Yeah, because I thought that was really done well. I thought Shuri was about have like a whole Joker moment when she was gonna kill him and stuff. I thought that would have been kind of cool, like just as like more of a story thing. But I'm glad obviously she came back to the light side, didn't kill him, and the everyone's stronger for it. But yeah, I thought the main villain was really well done in this movie. I think they showed how the civilization came to be, his motivations for doing what he does, and sort of show how similar they are to like the Wakandan people and stuff. So
yeah, I think some people might think that the actress that plays Shuri is the real MCU villain, but
she did good though. Like
she did like perform well.
Yeah, I think her actions is very problematic. We don't endorse anything she says, but I think she did really good in this movie. Like, I think her acting was really good. Story wise, it does make sense. She's gonna be the next Black Panther. I think everyone saw it coming. A lot of people didn't want it to really happen because of her, how she is in real life. But I think it makes sense story wise, and I think they wrote it really well, and I think she acted really well. Like, especially like that, like the last scene, when she's burning the thing. Like, oof, that it was really good. So
yeah, I think that Shuri as a character really did come into her own because. Before then it was just like, oh, she's like the plucky sidekick kind of thing.
Yeah.
But now we have to we have to see her become like an actual character, if you will. And seeing, I guess, her grow up faster than really anyone would have expected, if you will. But yeah, I mean, I think that Namor as a villain, really, really good. I think that having another, I guess, like minority group sort of fight with the Wakandans was a very interesting choice, especially, for Latino representation is very, very good. I really did like seeing Namor do stuff and sort of explain his backstory and, seeing, the white man, slaving away his people. I'm like, yeah,
yep,
get him, get his ass. So, obviously you can see and sort of understand where he's coming from because it's like, all right, yeah, these people did that to you, but does that make it right for you to now go down and sort of just kill everyone kind of thing? And sort of, I guess, like Wakanda was that, I guess, like other side of the coin, if you will. And people have sort of made the comparison of just like, oh, Namor's just like Killmonger, but like not necessarily, I would say. I feel like,
yeah, I think Killmonger was way more like aggressive about it.
Yeah, and obviously, I think that, comparing these two villains, just because it is a sequel, can be kind of easy, but I think that Namor's motives were different enough that I was able to sort of, follow them and actually believe in, well, not necessarily believe it, but, like understand where he's coming from.
Mm-hmm. I also really like the, that first attack scene when they attacked that boat. It was very creepy. Like, I think they did a great job with that scene because it was a really long scene too, but I think they did a good job sort of making them feel very creepy with the song and them just going overboard. And then they see the little heads popping out. It was a very like creepy scene. I'm like, oh, that was really good. Yeah.
And just sort of like showing how strong they actually are.
Yeah. Like they're very like hardy. Like they don't go down very easily. So it's really cool to see them, sort of demonstrate all that power in that first scene that they're in. So yeah, I think they did a good job with that. And yeah, I think it was just a good sort of like rival faction group thing that are here to stay. So hopefully they're important later down in the MCU. I also really like that the movie kind of feels a little more standalone from the rest of the MCU. Like, I feel like you don't really have to, like, you could watch Black Panther 1 and then just watch Black Panther 2. Like, I don't think you're really missing much by not watching everything in between. Like, they mentioned Thanos, I think, like, once, but that's about it. Like, I think people that really like Black Panther 1 and don't really watch any other MCU movies, I think this movie is very approachable. I feel anyway. Like, I think it kind of just carries over all the elements from that first Black Panther because it's so focused on Wakanda and everyone in it that, you really only need Black Panther 1 to really understand it. So I think that's kind of cool. So
yeah, actually feeling like a sequel within the MCU without it being a part of the MCU.
Yeah,
if you will.
Because I also like how there is no second post credit scene. I don't think either.
Yeah.
So like it's very much like its own thing, and I like that because I feel like we've been again tone deaf and it's just like, oh, here's Ant-Man getting ready, like after that emotional ending. So I'm really glad they kept it just about these people, like just about Wakanda, just about, everything in it. Like, I think that was really well done. So
yeah, the movie definitely knew what it was doing tonally wise, which I can really respect because it is kind of hard to, especially within the context of the MCU because, Kevin Feige's gonna be like, can you make a joke here or some shit? Mm-hmm. But the humor in this movie was very well placed. It was not sort of shoehorned in or anything like that. I think that the comedy served its purpose to show that, they aren't 100% just like depressed that T'Challa is dead kind of thing, like they're still able to be human and still joke around and stuff like that, which brings to the introduction of Riri Williams. I think that the way that they introduced her in this movie, contextualizing her as like, I guess like the thing that brought I guess, the Wakandans and the Namor's faction together kind of thing. Because the reason why Namor is so against Wakanda is because they made the world know what vibranium is.
Yeah.
And, you know, they're like, well, you fucking popularized it and shit. So, like, and obviously they've been using it for however long, you know, unknown to Wakanda. So they're like, well, fuck you kind of thing. But Riri Williams, I really like the way that they introduced her, sort of bringing her into Wakanda and them trying to save her, if you will.
Yeah.
Because Namor straight up just wanted to kill her. Like, you made this machine. All right, now you're dead.
Yeah. Yeah. I like how they brought her in. It didn't feel too shoehorned in. You know, it's just like, oh, she made this thing. Well, she didn't make it. She made like the parts for it, and then like, you know, other people used it. But you know, I think that was well done to bring her into the story, and she was in it a lot more than I thought she was going to be. You know, I thought she was just going to be like in the last scene in her Iron Man suit doing stuff, but you know, she was in it for a while, and she was a good like sort of thing for Shuri and everyone else to sort of like, you know, I guess bond with and stuff. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to her thing whenever that comes out.
Yeah, Ironheart.
Ironheart. I don't know if it was it a show or movie?
It's a show.
It's a show.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that. You know, I like her final suit design. Looks like a Metabot a little bit, but I like it. I think it looks pretty cool. You know, it's cool to have those sort of Iron Man head cam things again, because we haven't seen that in a while. So yeah, she was definitely a fun character. Can't wait to see her in her own thing once that comes out. And yeah, I thought of all the, you know, a lot of the Marvel things do introduce new characters as they show up, but I think she definitely felt like a good part of the plot. You know, she wasn't just like, oh, here I am. So
it wasn't like Spider-Man and Civil War kind of thing.
And then, you know,
yeah, exactly. You know, like 100% they got him into the movie. Then they were like, all right, how do we do this like the most seamless way possible without changing the movie too much?
Yeah.
So they sort of did it like that, and obviously it worked. But it does make it, I guess, in hindsight, obvious in that retrospect. But with this movie, you know, Riri Williams definitely played an integral role in sort of moving the plot along and actually getting the story going. But yeah, just quickly on Killmonger, because I don't think I mentioned that. I know you did.
Yeah.
But that was fucking dope, seeing him back in this movie. Even if it was just in that one scene, obviously it makes sense for him to just be in that one scene. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I was very scared that they were going to do some like, I guess like, what's it called? Deepfake of like Chadwick Boseman, but they never did that.
Yeah, you know, I was kind of worried about that too. I was kind of worried they were going to show him like in new scenes, because that, you know, they showed like, you know, the little flashbacks and stuff, which is all they need to show. They didn't have to do like this weird Disney CGI face thing. I think that would have been a little way too disrespectful, I think. So I'm happy they just kept it more of a memory and stuff. And yeah, I think that it was well done. Like I said, I'm surprised how well they handled it, because you know they were mid script writing when, you know, he passed away, so it was very easy for this movie to end up like a dumpster fire, but it really didn't. It ended up being really strong. So yeah, and I'm sure people are curious of what that story Ryan Coogler penned. I think that if they were to make a comic book of it, that would be pretty dope. But you know, just seeing them very much respecting Chadwick Boseman and respecting his life and celebrating it the way they did, because in the movie itself, you don't see him until that very last flashback scene, which was very emotional. I was like, oh my fucking God, like, oh shit. You know, just seeing him in every single one of those scenes from, you know, Avengers, Civil War, and obviously within the first Black Panther, I was like, shit, man, like, it sucks. But, you know, the way that they celebrated it within this movie was very well done. Yeah, I agree. It was a really good movie. You know, if you are sort of feeling down about the MCU, I think you should definitely give this movie a shot, because I think it does what it does really well, like I said. And it does, again, it's not really that connected to any of the MCU stuff that's been going on, really. So I think you just enjoy it as a movie, as a follow-up to Black Panther 1. And yeah, I definitely think it does deserve a lot of praise, because I think it's really good. Yeah, I think maybe next episode we'll do our Phase 4 ranking. Yeah. First, I gotta watch Eternals. Oh, I haven't watched Eternals either. Okay, first you gotta do that, and then we'll figure out the rest. But yeah, definitely Black Panther: Wakanda Forever is one of the better MCU movies. Don't listen to what other people are saying, in my opinion. Obviously, maybe you should, and you know, see what they are saying about the movie if it's spoiler free, obviously. But I think that this is definitely one of the better, if not the best, Phase 4 movie out of all of them. Mm-hmm. You know, I still love Spider-Man No Way Home, but that's just because it is a celebration of Spider-Man as a character. But this movie, it is a celebration of Chadwick Boseman as Black Panther. So yeah. So we will move on from there and get into the last part of the show. So I forgot to tell you this, but go into the Variety article and just
go through whichever other categories you want to discuss, because I did put some on the doc. But for now, I will bring up. We're not going to talk about every single nomination because I think we did that past episodes and that just went on way too fucking long. Yeah. So we're just going to talk about the select ones that we think are worth discussing. I know content creator is one that we will get into in a little bit, but obviously game of the year, that's like the no-brainer one. So for game of the year, up for grabs is A Plague Tale: Requiem, Elden Ring, God of War Ragnarok, Horizon Forbidden West, Stray, and Xenoblade Chronicles 3. So if I had to put my bets on it, I'm going to say God of War. I think it is a very close race between that and Elden Ring. I think people forget that Elden Ring came out this year just because now we are in November. And November is the month of video games to be released. I mean, today Pokemon came out and last week it was God of War and Sonic.
So a lot.
Yeah, a lot of stuff's coming out. So I think God of War, because it's fresh on a lot of people's mind, they might say that that is their game of the year. I feel like people that played Elden Ring can say that that is also their game of the year. Two very different games. I think that the other games in this category, no disrespect to them, but I think that with the amount of hype and sort of the amount of anticipation between those two games in particular, it's kind of like a no-brainer for one of those to win game of the year.
I mean, I think Elden Ring is going to win. Like, I think God of War is very solid. I mean, I love it, obviously, but I think a lot more people are going to gravitate towards Elden Ring just because it's kind of like a new thing for the Soul series, and the Soul series is very beloved by everyone. So I definitely think Elden Ring is definitely going to win Game of the Year. If Xenoblade 3 didn't come out this year, I definitely would pick God of War. Because Xenoblade 3 came out this year, it's personally my game of the year. Like I was saying, Travis, the game made me tear up twice when I was playing it. I loved it that much. It's really good. Obviously it has issues. I think the main villains kind of suck, but I also don't think that was the main thing of the game to begin with. But yeah, overall it was a perfect game. I loved it. All the other games in this list, all those I heard a lot of good things about. Plague Tale, Requiem. Horizon Forbidden West I also really like, but I think God of War is better. And Stray's the only one that's kind of weird. I like the game. It's the cute cat game you played. But I don't know if I put it for Game of the Year. I think some other games probably could have been better in this position. But if Stray's there, that's cool for them. So yeah.
Yeah, like Sonic Frontiers.
Yeah, like Sonic Frontiers, Game of the Year right there.
Okay, so next category up for grabs that we're going to talk about is Best Action Game. So Best Action Game, we got Bayonetta 3, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, Neon White, Sifu, and TMNT Shredder's Revenge. So I think that it is very funny again that they are separating Best Action and Best Action Adventure, which we will talk about next. But for Best Action Game, out of all of these games, me personally, I've only played Ninja Turtles and I guess Modern Warfare. But even then, I wouldn't even put Modern Warfare up for grabs because it's in a category of its own with like multiplayer and sort of kind of live service, not really type of game. But obviously, I haven't played the others. I know Sifu's very good, Neon White's very good, and obviously Bayonetta 3. But Ninja Turtles is my pick.
So yeah, I played 3 of these. Bayonetta, Neon White, and TMNT. Shredder's Revenge is really good. I really enjoyed it. It was a very solid beat 'em up. But Neon White, again, that's a really solid game. I don't know. I guess action is the best way to describe it. But it's kind of a weird platformer, fast-paced thing. So I don't know if I really put it in action. I'm probably going to pick Bayonetta 3, just that's basically what I think of with action game. It's like, yeah, you beat the shit out of things, and there you go. So I'm probably, TMNT also matches that description, but I think, Platinum does that stuff really well. Bayonetta 3 was really good. I'll probably give it to Bayonetta 3. Also, I think it's the only thing this is on. I think it's on one other thing, but
it's definitely not on Best Family Game.
Yeah, definitely not. You can play in the censor mode if you want, but that probably won't make the game any more appropriate.
Wait, there's actually a censored mode?
Yeah, you could. It's called like Naive Angel mode, and like there's smoke like candy canes and shit. So yeah, Bayonetta doesn't get naked. So it's definitely interesting. But yeah, out of all these games, I think Bayonetta 3 would probably be my pick. Is the one that best I think fits that category, and I think the game was great. So yeah,
very interesting.
So action adventure. So what I describe as action adventure, what separates the two is like Bayonetta and God of War, right? Like I would say they both have action in it, but I think Bayonetta is definitely more on that action part, while God of War Ragnarok has that adventure element. Like you're going around, you're completing puzzles, you're doing all that stuff. Same thing with Zelda, right? Like that's an action adventure game. We're qualify that as an action game. Like action games are like Bayonetta, DMC, things where you're constantly fighting shit. Action adventures when there's breaks between combat, maybe there's puzzles, you know, you go back to places, there's some story. I think that's what I usually qualify as action adventure. And I think all these games really hit that mark. You know, Plague Tale, that's basically what that is. God of War, obviously. Horizon. Tunic is basically just Zelda. Stray's, again, weird because you don't fight anything. You adventure. But yeah, this one I'm going to give it to God of War. I think that really fits that category of what I think an action adventure game really is. No, again, if Horizon would win these if God of War wasn't eating it. So, yes. Yeah.
You know, just two first-party Sony games fighting against each other is how I see it for this category, in my opinion. I don't know what Plague Requiem is. I've heard a lot about it.
So, Plague Tale is basically like indie Last of Us.
Okay.
That's literally what it is.
That's crazy. Maybe I should play it.
Yeah, you would probably really enjoy it. Yeah, I kind of want to play it as well. So
I know Tunic is that Fox game, right?
Tunic is that Fox Zelda looking game, but it's basically it looks like Zelda, which I was excited for because I was following this game for a while, and then it became a Dark Souls game. And no. So I'm like, okay, maybe I won't play that.
They're like, you know what? Elden Ring's kind of popping off. So.
Yeah, so it became a Souls-like.
Yeah, I mean, God of War, you know, obviously maybe a little recency bias, but I think when it comes to Horizon Forbidden West, I think that I don't know if there is an open world category, but I feel like if there was, that game would be at one of the tops of it. But even then, Elden Ring is really Elden Ring's there, so fuck.
Again, Horizon has the issue where it always comes out in a year where like mega big games are coming out too. Yeah. And it's sad because I really do like Horizon, but you know, compared to the really top of the top, it's kind of like below that a little bit. So yeah, very unfortunate for that game, but you know, obviously still play it. Like it's not like a full-on competition, guys. So you can still play that game.
Best RPG game we got is Elden Ring, Live Alive. I'm fucking stupid. Pokemon Legends Arceus, Triangle Strategy, and Xenoblade Chronicles. So yeah, we got 3 Nintendo games and actually 4. What the fuck? No, 3, and then one of them Square Enix. Or I guess 2 of them technically.
So yeah, I do want to talk about best narrative after this because it's a little controversial. But for best RPG, you know, I think there was a lot of good RPGs this year. I think Elden Ring is going to win it because there's a lot of people that like that game. I'm really hoping Xenoblade 3 at least wins this because it's definitely not going to win Game of the Year. Yeah. But I am hoping Xenoblade 3 does win this. But I think, you know, Live Alive was also fantastic. You know, that's sort of the RPG. Well, it was a remake of a Super NES RPG that never came out here. You know, it was remade with a beautiful HD 2D art style where it's all pixelated still and stuff. That's really cool. Triangle Strategy, I heard a lot of good things about it as well. But yeah, I think Elden Ring is probably going to win it. Just because it's Elden Ring, it's very popular. People really like it. But yeah, I'm really hoping Xenoblade 3 wins because, you know, I thought the story in that game was fantastic. You know, the RPG elements were great. You know, I think there's a lot of different things you could do. But yeah, I think Elden Ring might take it because anything it's in, I think it might take it just because it's like so popular. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I do want to talk about best narrative here because there's one game here that, even though I was saying it would win everything, it's kind of weird here. So Plague Tale, you know, big story game. Elden Ring, God of War Ragnarok, Horizon, and Immortality. I don't know what Immortality is. Apparently it's a pretty popular indie game right now, but I've never heard of it until now. Elden Ring is the big controversial for best narrative because Souls games don't really have a narrative or a traditional narrative anyway. Usually it's told by backstory and like reading item descriptions and world building and stuff, but I feel like that's a separate thing. I've always seen it, you know, world building and lore as its own thing, and narrative is more of the thing you're doing. So obviously there's a thing you're doing in Elden Ring, but it's not really like as clear as something like Horizon or God of War. Now, does that make it less valuable than those games? Maybe not, but I feel like you have to try a little bit more for a narrative than Elden Ring does with its more backstory, lore type stuff, which is still, you know, important for big RPGs like this, but I feel like other games does that better while still having a main central plot. So yeah, I don't know if Elden Ring really should be here. Like I'd rather just have Xenoblade 3 here instead. But yeah, either way, it's probably gonna be God of War for me for this one. From what I'm playing right now, it's really good. Obviously, if the ending is bad, then maybe not. But yeah, God of War story has definitely got me hooked right now. So I'll definitely put that for best narrative. So.
Yeah, I just looked up Immortality, and it looks
it's like an FMV game.
Yeah, it's like an FMV, I guess, like point and click.
That would make sense.
Decision game. Here. So It looks pretty cool. But when it comes to best narrative, I mean, like you said, Elden Ring. I mean, like there's a story to that game, kind of thing. So, definitely God of War Ragnarok and Horizon are definitely up there. Even Immortality, now that I'm just learning about it, and if A Plague Tale is just like The Last of Us Junior kind of thing, it's also up there. But out of everything I played, which is only God of War, that's something when I could really co-sign, if you will. So, but moving on from there, we will talk about the most anticipated game, because this category is also kind of controversial because you look at it every single year and it's a lot of the same games because they just haven't come out yet.
Yeah.
So if I could find the category, there it is. So we got Final Fantasy 16. Hogwarts Legacy, Resident Evil 4, Starfield again, and Zelda Breath of the Wild 2, Tears of the Kingdom. So, yeah, those two games that I just listed, Starfield and Legend of Zelda, are two games that have been on there for years now. And I think Zelda won last year, or was it Elden Ring? I forget.
I think it was Elden Ring, but I can't remember.
But these games have been on the category for so long, and I get it, those are pretty big games and people are very, very excited for them, but most anticipated, I feel like that it should be like a rotating thing, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah, like I think I said Zelda last year, but obviously it didn't come out. I'm honestly I'm still excited for Zelda, obviously, but I feel like they haven't really shown me anything to be that excited about. It's mostly just Link falling through the sky over and over. I'm like, I get it. I kind of want to see what's different. Well, not different about the game. I just want to see what's like, what we're doing here, So, honestly, for me right now, it's Final Fantasy 16 because, Creative Division 3 is making that, which are the same people that made Final Fantasy 14, which is like one of my favorite games ever. So I'm very excited to see what they could really do with a mainline Final Fantasy, or like a new one anyway. That's not an MMO. So, I'm definitely looking forward to this game. All the trailers I'm seeing of 16 look great. The music's fantastic. The game looks great. The combat's just DMC, which is weird, but okay. Definitely I'm looking the most forward to Final Fantasy 16, in my opinion.
Yeah. If obviously Spider-Man was on here, I'd say Spider-Man, but
kind of weird it's not,
because we don't know when it's exactly coming out. They did say Starfield 2023, so probably that's why. But yeah, out of all of these games that I'm looking forward to, it is Zelda out of all of them, which, I'm not even like that excited for Zelda, honestly. I'm not a Zelda hater, I swear. Don't kill me. I'm just not a big fan of 3D Zelda games for some reason. I don't know what it is. I just can't really get into them. My favorite Zelda game is still A Link Between Worlds on the 3DS.
That game was sick, yeah.
Yeah, that game is so much fun. Yeah. So, but yeah, now we'll talk about content creator of the year, because this one also sparked some controversy. So we got Carl Jacobs, Ludwig, Nebelian, Nobru, and QT Cinderella. So, a whole lot of white in here. No real big person of color, especially when one of the biggest Twitch streamers is black. I forget his name. Kai. Fucking hell. God damn it. I literally just typed in Kai Cenat. I hope I pronounced that right, but I think he still is the most subscribed person on Twitch, which is crazy to say, because it's like he is a newer content creator. But the fact that he's not even acknowledged on here or anything like that is a little strange. But yeah, and having Nebel on here, in my opinion, Nebel is a very good gaming Twitter journalist, I would say. And I say Twitter journalist because that's really all he posted his stuff on before he left the platform, before the platform actually exploded itself. But, having him here on Content Creator of the Year, I would say is not necessarily valid, because the content he creates isn't, I don't want to invalidate what he does, because what he does is obviously very, very valuable, but I wouldn't say that it's necessarily, content kind of thing,
Yeah, I think I do agree with that. I voted for him just for like the message.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I think in terms of actual content, yeah, I'm not too sure I would actually vote for him, because it's like he's not really entertaining you. It's more like just an information thing. But we still value his things and stuff. But it's kind of hard to like, what really is a content creator? Like, is it meant for information or like for entertainment? Obviously, I think Ludwig is just gonna win just because he's the most popular,
and he's done so much in terms of content creation. Just this year alone, I think recently it was the Smash Brothers tournament, which was like huge. So,
and he's doing that boxing chess thing later. I don't know when. Like, I think it's soon. But he's always come up with great ideas and stuff. I watch Jerma, so Jerma does a lot of like that stuff too. But Ludwig just has a huge ass budget to do whatever he wants. So that's really cool. I like it when Twitch streamers take the money they get and kind of make these big events to really show like, yeah, like I'm using the money you give me to make something really cool. So I like that. I like, obviously there's comfort in watching a streamer just play a game. I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with that, but it's cool when they kind of do something crazy like that. So it's probably going to be Ludwig, but, like you said, I think having more people of color probably would have been okay. I think they probably should have done that. I think that they were just like, oh, whoopsies. But
yeah, it does seem a little tone deaf. In my opinion, just because it's like there's so many, obviously content creation within gaming is so huge now because it's just become a lot more accessible for people to do. Back in our day, the fucking Dazzle and shit like that, editing on Windows Movie Maker. Nowadays, it's like Elgato is like the main brand people go to, and like everyone wants to be a streamer, everyone wants to be a content creator. So, it seems like everyone's sort of chasing that dream. And I feel like that because of that, there's a lot of people within that are non-white, non-male that are doing it. And, we have Cutie Cinderella on here, but she's a white woman, not to, discredit her by any means. I don't watch her content. I know that she is dating Ludwig, but I know that she does make a lot of good stuff. I know that she put on the Streamy Awards, which I have a opinion about, with Ludwig winning streamer of the year. It's a little sus. Yeah, exactly. Like that's like my whole thing as a journalist major. I'm like, that's a little sus for you to host the streaming awards and then also give your boyfriend the award of best streamer.
I feel like Ludwig should just be the co-host.
Yeah. I mean, like, and then there's a whole other angle where like XQC was wrong. I'm not a fucking XQC watcher. I don't watch his shit.
Juicer, juicing.
But I'm just saying, like there is, some stuff going on there that is a little sus in my opinion, but that doesn't discredit her for everything that she's done on YouTube, Twitch, etc. Because she does put on really big events as well, just like Ludwig does. But she obviously implements a lot more of like the female personalities, which is very nice.
Yeah, I guess I do want to talk about best adaptation, because I don't think this was ever a thing before.
I don't think so either. So I think because we've had a lot of adaptations. Yeah.
And all of these are good except one. At least. So Arcane. So yeah, the nominees are Arcane, Cyberpunk Edgerunners, the Cuphead Show, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, and Uncharted. So obviously Uncharted is the only one that's kind of like mid. I heard good things about Cuphead. But honestly, for me, the two ones that were really hard to pick was Arcane and Cyberpunk, because Edgerunners was.
I knew you were gonna say that.
Edgerunners is really goddamn good. I really enjoyed it. It's definitely my favorite Trigger show now. But I do think if I had to pick between the two, Arcane would probably win out, because I think it's more accessible to people who've never played League before. Like my brother never played League and he loved Arcane. If you didn't watch or if you didn't play Cyberpunk, I feel like a lot of the things they say in the show just won't register for you. Like they use a lot of terminology that's never explained. They kind of just assume you know a lot of stuff already. Like you already know who's like kind of like the bad corporations and stuff. So I definitely think having a more baseline knowledge of the Cyberpunk game or universe is needed to watch Edgerunner.
Or even making like a one-shot prequel.
Yeah, or making like a prequel or something. I think it's more necessary for that show. But Arcane, I think, is just accessible for anyone who just wants to watch like a good show, So I think Arcane does win out in the end, but Cyberpunk is very good. And obviously Sonic the Hedgehog is a fun movie. I really enjoyed it as well. But, I think between those two, yeah, it's one of those two.
I mean, Sonic 2 movie was really fucking good.
It was good. Yeah, I enjoyed it, but it's not like...
But yeah, I agree with you when it comes to Arcane. It definitely did a lot for not just League, but just like video game adaptations in general, to a point where everyone was watching it, not just because it was on Netflix, but because it's a really good show. It does the same thing that Andor does, where it does like the sort of like 3 episode arc, and then it breaks off and then does another 3 episodes. And
it's really good.
Yeah, that story format seems to work really, really well. And in between those story arcs, there's like a time jump, so you can see that there's character development and other stuff has happened in between there. But yeah, Arcane is really, really good. I mean, I think that, that is nothing new that people have heard about it. This is a show that people really like and really enjoyed, and, unfortunately got people to play League. So
yeah, I did. So a lot of people came back to League and like, oh, this isn't like Arcane. Yeah, no shit. Wait a couple years for the MMO or whatever they're doing. So then maybe you get what you wanted.
Yeah, but, I actually have watched most of these except for Cuphead and obviously Cyberpunk. You know, Uncharted, like you said, even you didn't watch it. It is kind of bad.
Yeah.
It is not that great of a adaptation by any means. If it wins, I'm going to fucking riot, obviously. But I think Arcane and Cyberpunk are definitely within the top 2. If Sonic 2 wins, I'm going to be like, what the fuck
That'd be crazy.
happened? Who was on that board of committee, honestly?
Sonic fans came out. Like, actually, there's like a 9 out of 10.
That is insane. But yeah, Arcane is, you know, probably going to win the category, hopefully, because I feel like that with all the hard work and sort of like how long that show was in development for, it definitely deserves it. But I think that's about it. I mean, there's some other categories here.
There was something funny with the fighting game category. I guess it wasn't too many fighting games because it put Shifu as a best fighting game.
Oh, yeah.
Even though it's not really a fighting game, it's like a beat 'em up type thing. That was weird. A lot of people were really upset about that because not because Shifu was bad or anything, but because it's not really a fighting game. They kind of just put it in there. I guess because they needed like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 categories, I guess, or nominees. Yeah, obviously doesn't really deserve to be there, or not deserve, but it shouldn't be there because it's not a fighting game. So that was weird.
I think that, you know, it's fine to limit some categories to 4 or 5 kind of thing, you know, or even expand it to 6 if you have to. But yeah, I think that, you know, Sifu as a game, it is definitely not a fighting game. I think if you watch gameplay of it and see how it plays, it's not a fighting game. So putting it in this category along with Multiverses, King of Fighters, JoJo's, which is like a 3D arena fire.
Yeah.
And I don't know what DNF Duel is. I think
that's Dungeon Fighters or something.
Okay.
Like that.
So, you know, just putting it within this category along with all of these other big hitters is a little weird.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's mostly it. Obviously, the family category is the Nintendo category, like always is.
Yeah. I know that there was some stuff with the esports thing, but I'm not going to get into that.
Okay.
But, you know, it is what it is. Yeah, so I'm excited to see what happens with the Game Awards this year, just because there was a lot more conversation around the nominees this year compared to others, I felt.
I felt like Ratchet and Psychonauts 2 got robbed last year for everything. So that was kind of sad. They didn't win anything. I think Ratchet won one thing. But Psychonauts, I don't think won anything, which made me very sad. But yeah, whatever.
That sucks. But yeah, hopefully this year's award show is fun because I know it's going to be in person or something like that. It's going
to be long as hell. Like always.
So they're going to invite people in and hopefully the announcements are at least good. So yeah, is there anything else you'd like to add, Damian?
No, I think that's it.
All right. So thank you guys for watching the Travis and Damian podcast, episode 100. We'll see you guys 2 weeks from now with another episode.
See ya.